Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. It is October 10th, 2024. I am still very much under the weather. Uh, can y'all? Yeah, y'all can hear me. I'm still struggling with this cold, guys, and doing what I need to do. Today, Sean P. Diddy Combs did indeed have another appearance in federal court, at which time his attorneys pushed for a trial date, and the trial date has been set. It is May 5th, 2025, guys. May 5, 2025. So that's 5/5/2025. And I am reaching out to you guys, my subscribers, to assist me in the efforts of me getting to the trial and staying there, being boots on the ground to give you guys daily updates. Now, I have a Cash App already. It is $Danny's Plate 2020. That's $DANNIPLATE 2020. So if you can donate to the efforts of helping me get to the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial, as well as staying there, I'll be really, really grateful. So now we know that we're all aware that he went to court. They have a date set. Now, I don't know if this is going to be final or not. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the fact that, first off, he has multiple suits currently pending in the law with the law firm of Tony Busby, allegedly. There's apparently over 120 people at this time who are alleging similar violations by Sean P. Diddy Combs and some of his Hollywood friends and colleagues and associates, allegedly. It's being said that many of these individuals are coming forward to pay off the lawsuit privately so that their names are not going to be released. I don't know how that's going to work. Like, if, let's say, for instance, one of Busby's clients is approached by somebody powerful in Hollywood to go ahead and pay them off, does Tony Busby then only tailor his lawsuit to go after Sean P. Diddy Combs? Or does that resolve the entire suit? Basically, the client wouldn't care who pays as long as somebody pays. Is that where we are? Because I really hope not, because I feel that all parties involved should be held accountable. And at this point, if it's a monetary accountability, then I feel that Diddy, as well as his cohorts, all of his buddies and friends and associates who were involved in this alleged conduct, because it is alleged, but for anyone who was involved in this alleged conduct should pay, whether it be criminally or financially. Because quite honestly, either way, If these things did indeed happen to these individuals, and in Tony Busby's law office, there's alleged that there are 25 minors, people who were minors at the time of this alleged conduct. But that's still kind of out there. Excuse me. That's still kind of out there. There have been, as far to my knowledge, unless anybody else is aware of anything, to my knowledge, there is not a Tony Busby case filed as of yet. Now, Tony Busby did indicate that when he did the press conference, I think he did the press conference like 8 days ago. Excuse me, guys. Oh my goodness. This cold is kicking my butt. But Tony Busby had announced that within the next 30 days, he would be filing these 120 lawsuits. But to date, I don't believe there's been one filed. I mean, we are 10 days into the month. He does have 20 days remaining. So I'm definitely staying on top of that side of this whole scenario. Because I think the criminal is just as important as the civil. Because you never know. Some of these civil cases could turn criminal. It's highly possible. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the fact that Sean Puff Daddy Combs has an appeal in with the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. This appeal was filed on August 8th. Not August 8th, I'm sorry guys, on October 8th. What am I saying? It is for, the reason for the motion is pretrial release. And let's see. It says here, set forth below, precise, complete statement of relief sought. And the complete and concise type of release sought is Sean Combs' request that this court order his release on appropriate bail conditions and order his immediate release pending disposition of this appeal under Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 9A3. This appeal is being submitted by Alexandria Shapiro, which I kind of figured that she would be the attorney assigned to handle his appellate issues because that is her specialty and background. So, I'm going to read a little bit of this appeal to give you guys an idea of what his attorneys are asserting and why they feel that Sean P. Diddy Combs should be released. Let's see. So they have a bunch of cases that they have compiled and rules. But the introduction: bail may be denied only in rare Only in a rare case of extreme and unusual circumstances, United States versus Barrios, that's a case that they're citing. This case does involve extreme and unusual circumstances, but none that typically foreclose bail or warrant forcing Sean Combs to defend himself from a prison cell. What is extreme and unusual about this case is that Mr. Combs was detained immediately after he was charged, even though he has been in the spotlight his entire life, with many of his purported antics and episodes being widely reported in the press and known to law enforcement and authorities. Indeed, hardly a risk of flight. He is a 54-year-old father of 7, a U.S. citizen, an extraordinarily successful artist, businessman, and philanthropist, and one of the most recognizable people on earth. The sensationalism surrounding his arrest has distorted the bail analysts. Mr. Combs was not released pending trial, even though he offered to comply with restrictive conditions that would have prevented any conceivable risk of flight or danger. The district court detained Mr. Combs in a conclusory, bare bones oral ruling, apparently because of unspecified concerns that he would obstruct justice and intimidate witnesses. The government's arguments about the risk of obstruction were based on speculation, resting mainly on untested allegations about communications with witnesses in civil cases and communication initiated by supposed witnesses and not Mr. Combs. The government even claims that his public denial of a former girlfriend's allegations in a civil lawsuit constituted two attempts to obstruct justice. If denying accusations by civil plaintiffs could justify pre-trial excuse me, guys, detention, the liberty protections of the Bail Reform Act and the Constitution, not to mention the First Amendment, would be meaningless. Throughout the bail proceedings below, Mr. Combs rebutted the government's proffers, but without fact-finding or analysts, the district court endorsed the government's exaggerated rhetoric and ordered Mr. Combs detained. In doing so, the court committed a legal error, rejected a plainly sufficient bail package and violated its obligations under the Bail Reform Act. Mr. Combs is presumed innocent. He traveled to New York to surrender because he knew he was going to be indicted. He took extraordinary steps to demonstrate that he intended to face and contest the charges, not flee. He presented a bail package that would plainly stop him from posing a danger to anyone or contacting any witnesses. Under the Bail Reform Act, liberty is the norm, and detention prior to trial or without trial is carefully limited is the carefully limited exception. Then they state another case, United States v. Salerno. Mr. Combs is entitled to release under Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 9 and 18. And 9 and 18, USC 142 and 3 145. And immediate release pending disposition of this appeal under Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 9A3. Issues presented. Whether the district court's obstruction and witness tampering conclusion lacked a functional basis and misapplied the law. Whether the district court erred in concluding no conditions would reasonably assure the safety of any other person and the community. Whether the district court erroneously failed to make the factual findings required by the Bail Reform Act and weigh the required statutory factors. Background. Mr. Combs's actions during the investigation demonstrate that he poses no conceivable risk of flight. Long before his indictment, Mr. Combs took numerous steps demonstrating his trustworthiness and commitment to proving his innocence in this case. Since early 2024, he understood he was the target of a serious federal investigation. Nonetheless, he immediately directed his counsel to proactively reach out to prosecutors. He subsequently took extraordinary steps to voluntarily surrender and try to satisfy any possible government concerns about flight risks. Months before the indictment, on March 13, 2024, Mr. Combs's counsel emailed the assigned ASUAs to introduce himself and asked to speak with the prosecutors so he could provide information about the case. It says A-94. He renewed that request 5 days later. The government never responded. They don't need to respond, love. They're the government. They don't need to communicate at all. If they choose not to interact or not to engage, they're in the middle of an investigation and trying to compile evidence. And just because Diddy's attorney is reaching out to them does not mean that they are obligated to answer him. On March 25th, 2024, the government executed search warrants at Mr. Combs's residence in Miami and Los Angeles. A-44. I'm guessing these are all the attachments that are probably in this appellate appeal. Mr. Combs was personally searched as was his airplane. Counsel agreed to accept service of 2 grand jury subpoenas to Mr. Combs's businesses. On April 1st, 2024, defense counsel took custody of Mr. Combs's passport and advised the government that it would not be returned to him and he would not leave the country. Counsel also promised to advise the government in advance of any domestic travel by Mr. Combs and did so, sharing his whereabouts and travel plans at least 9 times from May to August 2024. Mr. Combs also put his private airplane up for sale because of the investigation and notified the government accordingly. And he advised the multiple relatives, including his mother and 4 minor daughters, had given counsel their passports. Mr. Combs also paid off the outstanding debt of $18 million on his $48 million home on August 20th, 2024. So, excuse me, let me get a sip of water, guys. One moment, let me get a sip of water. I am so sorry. Whoa, my throat. I'm not gonna let this cold stop me, guys. So I'll just be coughing and reading and pausing. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Thank you guys for smashing the like button. And thank you guys for being here. Replay gang, I'm talking to you too. Mr. Combs also paid off. Oh, I got there already. So it could provide unencumbered security for any future bail package. During this time, counsel continued conferring with the government regarding its grand jury subpoenas. Counsel withdrew former counsel's motions to quash, conducted voluminous searches, and produced over 144,000 pages of documents. Finally, when counsel informed Mr. Combs that his arrest was likely upcoming, he immediately relocated to New York City from Miami on September 5th, 2024, to surrender. At that time, his counsel informed the government of his intent to surrender. Counsel offered to continually share Mr. Combs's location with the government and asked for a time when Mr. Combs could surrender. B. Arrest and charges. Despite Mr. Combs's offer to surrender on September 16, 2024, the government arrested him on a 3-count indictment charging racketeering, conspiracy, XXX trafficking, and interstate transportation to engage in prostitution. Y'all know what I'm saying. I had to edit it for you too. The government claims that the core of this case is freak-off activity, which allegedly involved elaborate and produced XXX performance that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. Mr. Combs believes the evidence will show that to the extent such activities occurred, all individuals who participated were adults voluntarily engaging in consensual XXX. Bail proceedings. C. Mr. Combs was arraigned on September 17, 2024 before Magistrate Judge Robin F. Tornifsky and pled not guilty. The government sought detention, arguing that Mr. Combs presented a risk of flight, danger to the community, and risk of obstruction and witness tampering. Despite Mr. Combs's robust bail proposal, Judge Tornifsky detained him. Mr. Combs appealed. The district court, Andrew J. Carter, held a bail hearing on September 18th. The court began by noting that the government primarily seeks detention based on risk of flight and the danger of obstruction of justice or witness tampering. The court indicated that based upon the parties' written submissions, its lesser concern risk of flight, and its bigger concern dealt with the danger of obstruction and witness tampering. The government's proffer focused on an 8.5-year-old domestic violence incident and vague allegations related to civil lawsuits. The government retorted, Oh, the government recited the indictment's allegations and only vaguely alluded to possible witness testimony and evidence, primarily relying on widely widely publicized March 5th, 2016 video of Mr. Combs depicting a domestic violence incident with a former girlfriend called Victim 1 in Count 2. Oh my gosh. The government also mentioned text messages and phone calls between Mr. Combs and potential witness, primarily witnesses in civil lawsuits filed against Mr. Combs. The government went so far as to argue that Mr. Combs' public statements that a civil lawsuit was riddled with lies was attempts by him to obstruct justice. The defense rebutted each of the government's arguments. Regarding the March 5th, 2016 defense counsel explained that Mr. Combs and Victim 1 shared a 10-year romantic relationship that was often mutually toxic. Counsel noted that countless written communications tend to negate any lack of consent and any coercion regarding their XXX activity, and cited evidence showing a long-term loving relationship that became strained by mutual infidelity and jealousy. A 52, I'm sorry. Oh, that's an attachment. The overwhelming written communications describing their consensual XXX relationship included communications concerning their mutual decision to bring a third party into their intimacy. Oh, so the defense is providing communications where it was a mutual decision to bring another party into their relationship. Okay, the violence depicted in the March 5th video was entirely separate, stemming from jealousy and infidelity. Stemming from jealousy and the infidelity of the eight and a half years ago. Defense counsel cited interviews with half a dozen male escorts who participated in the freak-offs described by the government and confirmed they never witnessed anything remotely non-consensual. Why did they only contact male escorts? Why didn't they contact any of the female escorts? That's kind of strange, but anyway. Counsel explained that Mr. Combs and Victim 1 both suffered from serious drug problems. At the time, at the time of the video, and subsequently participated in rehab before eventually separating in 2018. Counsel further explained Mr. Combs's communications regarding victim one's November 2023 lawsuit years after the couple's separation. A lawyer representing victim one demanded a $30 million payment from Mr. Combs in exchange for the rights to a tell-all book victim one had supposedly written. When Mr. Combs refused, victim one retained new counsel who filed a lawsuit, which was quickly concluded with a large settlement. This prompted, oh Lord, I lost my space, y'all. Okay, there we go. Why do I keep doing that? My bad. This prompted a lot of other lawsuits. Although Mr. Combs communicated with others about the conduct alleged in these civil suits, including individuals that the government now characterizes as victims at the time, he knew nothing about the Southern District of New York's investigation and was not engaging in any attempted obstruction. The government had no response other than to say that Mr. Combs certainly suspected the possibility of an investigation, citing his statements he was not supposed to be speaking on the phone. Defense counsel also rebutted the government's other obstruction and witness tampering allegations regarding a civil lawsuit filed against Mr. Combs on September 10th, 2024. After the suit was filed, Mr. Combs spoke with an individual the lawsuit identified as a prominent witness to his alleged violence. The individual in question was very upset and publicly about publicity, I'll say, okay, and wanted to make a public statement that her personal experience differed from the lawsuit's allegations. As counsel explained, this witness was represented by an attorney at the time of the communications and could be an important defense witness with whom the defense will likely continue speaking. Counsel further explained that Mr. Combs had, with his counsel's blessing, called potential defense witnesses to let them know that counsel would be reaching out to speak with them. Notably, search warrant affidavits disclosed to the defense on October 7th, 2024 confirm, and this part is redacted heavily. So I'm believing that I know this is about Dawn Richard, the former Danity Kane member. they're talking about one of the band members who went public and defended Diddy. Well, she just made a statement that her experience was not similar to the allegations alleged in the lawsuit that Dawn has filed. So I don't know what that part says, but during its proffer to the court, the government concealed this fact, which completely undermines its claims that the timing of the contacts with the witness in September 2024 suggests obstruction. Suggests obstruction. Although the government vaguely described contacts with two grand jury witnesses, it proffered no evidence of any threats or intimidation. The government could only state there were 14 total contacts between Mr. Combs and one, how many contacts? Let me see. Yeah, a total of 14 contacts between Mr. Combs and one witness and another witness who was contacted multiple times. Defense counsel explained these contacts involved no obstruction or witness tampering. For example, one witness contacted Mr. Combs, not the other way around. She reached out to Mr. Combs and told him, "I'm a grand jury witness." After Mr. Combs informed defense counsel, he was instructed not to contact the witness anymore and didn't. Of course, the defense explained it. Of course, the defense explained it must continue to interview witnesses to conduct a responsible defense investigation. D. Mr. Combs proposed a robust bail package with extremely restrictive conditions. I'm not going to go over his bail package again. I'm just going to hit the bullet points. The $50 million, the travel restriction, the home detention. Mr. Combs would provide his passport. They would also retain the passports of his children. He would do weekly drug tests, all standard conditions of pretrial supervision. He was going to have no contact with known grand jury witnesses, no female visitors except family and mothers of Mr. Combs's children. What else? He was also going to continue his efforts to sell his airplane. And the package was rejected twice. Let's see. And the district court's ruling. So this is basically they're going above the Southern District Court, and they have submitted appeals stating that Sean Puff Daddy Combs should indeed receive a bond. What do you guys think? If you're here now in the chat and you're brave enough as a Bush baby to hop out in the comments, what do you guys think? And for those of you who are just coming in, Diddy's trial has been scheduled, and I'm going to say tentatively for May 5th, 2025. That's 5/5/25. So hopefully that will be the date. Guys, I am planning to figure out how Like, I have to be there. There is no way that I cannot be there, guys. I have got to be able to sit in that courtroom and hear these proceedings, because the majority of these witnesses, a lot of the video evidence, well, all of it, we're not going to be able to see. We're not going to be able to see because this is a federal case, and federal cases do not make it into the public spectrum. They're not live streamed on any news. That's why we see all of the drawings done, because they will allow someone to come in and draw the courtroom, but there's no cameras allowed, no recording devices allowed, just pen and paper. It is still open to the public. However, with this case being so big, like this is a huge case, right? All of the news outlets are going to want to be there. And I'm just a little YouTuber vlogger. I want to be there too. So guys, if you can help me get there, I will be posting my Cash App more frequently in videos and in my shorts here on the channel. But it is $ Danny's Plate. That's hold on, $ Danny's Plate 2020. That's $ DANNI PLATE 2020. So if you guys want to help me get there, please donate. Help me get to this trial and stay for the duration, because I've already looked at a couple of Airbnbs in the area. And to be honest, let's see, we're in October, November, December, January. I have to book my Airbnb no later than January, guys. I have to book. Oh my goodness. But guys, I'm going to get out of here and go sip some tea and try to get rid of this horrible cold, because it has been plaguing me since like for a week. And if it doesn't go away soon, I'm going to the doctor. Because I've been trying to do like my herbal remedies. I've been trying to do chicken soup. I've been trying to do my moringa. Let me see. Where is my moringa? I've been doing my moringa, and also my sweet woodworm. I'm sorry, wormwood. I keep saying woodworm. It's wormwood. My sweet wormwood. And I might just take one of these burdock root today, because I haven't taken any burdock root yet. So you guys, y'all know all of my herbal people, y'all know all these names. Hopefully this will help me get over this cold soon. And I'm so happy that they have set this trial for May, because that's the summertime. That's the summertime, y'all. I wouldn't have been able to do Diddy's trial in the winter in New York. I lived in Connecticut and I lived on Long Island. I know what the weather in the winter is like. I'm not for all that. I'm not with that. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Replay gang, I'm talking to you too. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share. I'll get oh my goodness. Until next time, guys, I'm gonna get off.